Wolf Crit here at the PhD Speed Gaming event in Dallas, Texas. We're here with Dekan from Cryptozoic, and you've got something pretty awesome to show us.
All right, so I've got Master of Orion, the board game. If you don't know, Master of Orion was a very popular 4X game, originally released in '93, and 2 other sequels in the '90s, but it was owned by Micropose, owned by Atari, and we all know what happened to Atari. So
they're the giants of the industry.
Exactly, they're still kicking. It got bought out by Wargaming Net, and just recently they released a new version of it called Master of Orion: Conquer the Stars. This is the board game, card game based off of that series, and this is using the new updated art from the new video game that just was released in '16.
Got it.
Yeah, we're aiming for releasing this in the summer of this year, but the way that I explain this is that it's actually kind of a 4X light. You can't have a 4X game go to the tabletop without it still being a 4X game.
Right.
However, how long does a 4X game take?
4 to 5 years?
An hour. An hour.
Okay.
So we're aiming, this
right.
one's an hour game. It still has everything that you expect to see in a 4X game: explore, exploit, exterminate, and expand. I did it a little bit backwards, but yes. So you have a structure deck that you do not get any card from for free. So you, using action point allocation that you get at the beginning of every round, you actually have to research and explore this deck to get cards. Some are better at exploring, some than not. To expand, you have a tableau that you're building. You build up to 4 different systems. The top card is your working card. If you overlap a card with something, it is no longer your active card, and the card in front is now your working card.
Okay.
So you're still kind of expanding, but you only have a limited area that you can expand to. You exploit, because every card has an exploit value on it. Again, there's a action point allocation here for exploiting, where you discard a card from your hand for this. So if you needed to exploit this card right here in my hand, it is a yellow card which has the production. So if I need to exploit this card, I would discard it, and discard it forever for the entirety, not from my own personal discard pile, because this is a shared deck.
Okay.
And you get whatever it's printed on there. And all yellow cards give you an additional production.
Okay.
Cool.
All blue cards give you an additional 3 food, and it's all written there on the card as well. So it's very easy to go through it.
Perfect.
So we've got explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate, because there's also the ability to attack other people. And you take fleet values off of yours, and you have to have a bigger fleet than theirs.
Okay.
And by doing so, they actually have a loyalty marker on theirs. So everyone starts at 10, and they start losing their loyalty as well.
The more they attack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if we were playing as the Alkari and they had these cubes, they could then use propaganda to pull it back up.
Okay.
But you can only activate stuff with the activate square once per round.
Okay.
So it balances out that way. So you can still come back from 3 or 4 people attacking you.
Okay.
But you need to waste one of your precious allocated points.
Okay.
Because on a round you get anywhere between 3 to 5. Because there's an upkeep system as well.
Right.
If you have made a lot of production, so if you look at the beginning of a round, you get this much fleet. So in this case, you get 4 fleet and 3 food for this. So you'd move those up. And if you got into the area where you're here, you'd actually have to lose loyalty.
Right,
but you
because
get
you're
more
working too hard.
Yes, but you get more cubes for use.
Cool.
And it keeps rolling. There's 8 rounds. So if the person with the most points at the end of 8 rounds is the winner, or the game is triggered in 2 other ways. If someone goes to loyalty of 0 or lower, someone is exterminated from the game, and it ends for everyone.
Okay.
These are also tabulate into victory points at the end, so someone who is exterminated is probably not going to win. However, I think Eric Martin did a thing where he actually exterminated himself to get out of the game because he had enough extra points to end the game early.
Wow.
So there's some ways.
If you're a pro, you can.
Yeah. And the other way is if you finish your systems. So there are 4 systems that you can build, and the tableaus can build up to 5 different structures. If each of your 4 systems has 5 structures, that triggers the end of the game, and likely you probably will win too. But just because you've triggered the end doesn't mean you are going to.
It does sound like everyone reaches to the 8 rounds, or someone goes really bad, or someone does really good.
Exactly. So I just spewed a lot of stuff at you guys. Any questions about it?
So it's all card based and with your own player mat, right?
Yeah.
There's no like hexes or anything like that. So it seems like it's a very simple, much lighter, like you said, only an hour, kind of clean, easy to keep track of.
Correct.
Because I know we've played clips and games like that, but there always comes a point where it's just kind of look like a jumbled mess.
And that's actually a good point. People have joked that Eclipse is Master of Orion. So why remake Eclipse? Eclipse is a great game on its own. we don't want to step on their toes, they don't want to step on our toes, so why not make a game? Because if you look, the production columns actually kind of look a lot like Eclipse. There's a reason why Eclipse kind of pulled some of that probably from Massive Orion in the first place, which is this is where a lot of this is drawn from as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, but you're still there. You still have to physically attack other people. So if you want to attack someone else, you are attacking their player card. So there is still some idea of being in the same universe with each other, and it's not just playing on your own board.
Right.
Right, and you still capture really focusing on the resource management mechanics, which
Absolutely.
I think is really. I feel like if you really do enjoy the 4X kind of games, you're probably a big fan of that.
Absolutely.
You know, instead of, it's not just moving around, it's you're really looking at, like you said, moving here. If you go too high, you might get a thing, but then your population, or not your population, your morale drops.
Yeah.
And then you can still build military, but you're not actually building the units and stuff, so that still has that nice sort of
And if
feeling.
you look at how some of the militaries, like I have Death Spores right here, which is a reaction, you may put a cube from your reserve on this card to make the defender lose extra. So when you're attacking someone, let's say that I'm attacking the Alkari again, the reserve is not this area. This is the actual cubes that you have. The reserve is stuff that you might be able to use. You can react with that too and make them lose even more morale by using this military style card.
Right.
Only if it's built, however.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
What's
what's
so bad for them? They keep getting attacked.
Yeah. Okay. Then we'll switch on out to the next one. Everyone on the back is a human on every one.
Okay.
So there's an easy game and a harder game. So like the Alkari have a better at they can use the victory points as
Right, it allows, I assume, like one is so if everyone wants to be the same, just to make it a little easier for everyone. But of course, in these kind of games, I think some of the fun is when you are different races, when you know that, okay, I know my race is better at researching or
exactly, and
building.
that's the Cylon, not Cylon, Silon. The
Important
Cylon
distinction.
have a research of 3, where if you look at a human, it's research of 2, so they draw 3 cards every time they research,
Right.
and they're the Brainiacs.
And you did, of course, mention based on a video game. What's the process like when you adapt from a video game to a card game? Of how do you capture that essence without?
Well, this is one that actually we're working with Hobby World on, and they did a lot of the original design on it. We're bringing it from Russia over here, which and Wargaming Net is actually more of a Russian company as well. So they did a lot of that original stuff. But as far as marketing and talking about the game itself, I've been playing a lot of Master of Orion recently. So I'm like, okay, so it is like a 4X. It's a lot, and seeing where it is very similar to the video game. And obviously, you don't have huge, expensive universes that you're trying to manage your fleets across the entirety of. But you are managing your systems and making sure that you don't overlap a card too soon, because some of the cards have a very cool activated ability, but there's just nowhere else to put this card. And maybe you might have a card down here that says all red cards give you more bonus at the end of the round, or sorry, at the end of the game or anything like that. So if you do put this here, you no longer can use the Fighter's Bay's activated ability, but you might get that bonus at the end of the game from owning all those cards in the same system.
Right, and there is still you still get that.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not like you're losing it completely.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, and some cards are great. Like this one says just after building. This one here says just after building. So this is meant to be on the bottom. It only activates when it's first built.
Right.
So some cards really match that as well.
Which is also helpful because then it becomes a lot of fun looking like, okay, I know this is a good starter card, and this one I should wait a little bit.
Exactly.
Awesome.
And on that note as well, there's a lot of different actions around the board as well. We talked about researching, we talked about constructing and everything like that. Everything you do in your turn has to use a cube. There's also trading, so if you don't have enough food, if you have too much food, you can change 3 food into 1 production or 2 fleet. It's always the same ratio, and there's a little diagram there. We talked about propaganda. There's also the advanced mode where you can hire an advisor as well, where these advisors, like for the Bulrathi advisor Kuruk, you gain an additional 3 food or 1 production every time you attack someone. And those you have to not only use an action, but you have to discard 3 cards from your hand as well.
Right, I mean, I can see why, because that guy just gives a lot of resources all the time.
Exactly.
Release date for this?
This one's going to be this summer. So we're aiming, it's going to be out for Gen Con for sure.
Okay,
Great.
good time to release a game.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. Well,
Any other games you want to mention before?
There's a couple others that were coming out real soon. We have Train Heist coming out next, which is a really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been?
we've played the original
Yeah.
Yes.
Kickstarter version.
So, as you're aware, it was a Kickstarter in about 2015. A guy named Sean McDonald was the producer of the game. He built enough to get all the backers everything they needed, and they loved it and it went well. But he just broke even, couldn't go into full retail. Actually, a store that he is next door to, like he lives in the same town of, was started selling his extra games, and the store owner couldn't keep them on the shelves. So the store owner actually reached out to Cryptozoic and said, "Hey, you might want to take a second look at this game."
That's
we
cool.
did. We're enjoying it, and that one's going to be coming out hopefully at the end of June.
Yeah, I mean, we've, like you said, had the Kickstarter. We've enjoyed that one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun.
Luckily, it's going to be able to get out to more
Yeah,
people.
so the people will actually be able to get it again.
Exactly, finally. And the only other one that we're going to be playing that's a couple of big ones that we're going to be playing here is, I know that you guys talked about Rick and Morty on your
Yeah,
show.
Sure.
Tonight I'm going to be playing Rick and Morty Anatomy Park.
Okay,
Which is a lot of
great.
fun, so if you guys want to take a look at that, if you guys are
Absolutely.
around.
For sure.
And last but not least is during the speed gaming event, we're going to be doing not Anatomy Park, say it that way. Attack on Titan: The Last Stand, which the Anton Bowser Ludwig Maudblanc.
Which we've been
Yeah.
waiting for a long time.
Yeah, we saw that at the prototype at Gen Con,
Yep.
and we loved it.
It's fun.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things is when I'm going to start talking to people tomorrow about it, is I'm just going to have people sit down and say, re-roll your dice. Re-roll them as many times as you want, because that's the game. The only time that dice get taken is when the Titan face comes up, and then me, and I'll be playing the Titan, of course.
Of course.
Gets those as my resources. So
Yeah.
those are the big three that are coming out real soon.
So some great games coming from some really cool properties. Also, some Kickstarters getting a new breath of life.
Absolutely.
Very exciting to see.
Yeah, for more, check out the description below for links to more information about that, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. This is Roll for Crit.